Welcome back to New Rockstars. This is the Boys Underground. Boys only. Boys, masculine energy, and one strong, badass female who will be joining us and dominating us the entire time. Yeah. The way we like it here. The show that dissects America's The Boys like the guts of a sperm whale just hanging out for the world to see.
We are a rotting whale carcass of a podcast / YouTube show.
We are a hybrid rotting whale carcass. You can hear it, you can see it, and god darn it, I bet you can smell it. The first 3 episodes of the second season of The Boys just dropped, and in this episode, we're digging through all of them to share some Easter eggs and things you might have missed. We're going to go through all the kills and reveals and answer the lingering questions like, if gills could talk, what would they sound like? My guess is Patton Oswalt.
Apparently.
If I could have a part of my body talk like Patton Oswalt, I would, and it would be my nostrils. And they would say, stop snorting things. Anyway, with me to share their thoughts on Vought, get it? We rhymed. Our new Rockstar Zone, super terrorist, or as I prefer, super villain, Erik Voss!
Yes, we're still focus testing what super I am, but I think it's one of those two, probably.
Either Starlight or a supervillain.
Oh, yes.
But nowhere in between.
And also joining us, as advertised before, is the only person I know who can explode your head with knowledge. Marina Mastros! Hello, Marina!
Hello! The weird thing about me being on this show is that I actually have more testosterone than Tommy and Erik combined.
Weird. Yeah. That's very true.
Sounds
Just got
about
some
right.
blood work done. We're hoping things... I've been eating a lot of salmon and sweet potatoes, Marina, I tell you. I'm hoping it comes back. I'm not even 40 yet. I've been doing a lot of push-ups. You know, we're going to try and get it back, but as for now, you're right.
I've been listening to Joe Rogan, and so far I have too much testosterone, just from 5 seconds of it.
I noticed your beard was growing a beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's either that or the 5G.
That's right. Here's a quick recap of what happened in the first 3 episodes of Season 2. This is your spoiler warning. If you have not watched all 3 episodes, we are going to talk about them all in this episode, so fair warning. If you haven't watched them, it's about to get real. So, in Episode 1, Homelander and Starlight host Translucent's fake funeral, and Huey plots with Starlight to steal more Compound V to bring to the press. The boys hunker down with Frenchie's Haitian gang friends. Billy is being framed for Stillwell's death in hilarious TV reenactments with what I'm sure is an authentic Australian actor. Yeah. Black Noir kills super terrorist Nakib, which was kind of, to me, a crazy beginning to that episode.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the things I was like, I wonder how this character is going to evolve. And it turns out he's going to evolve with no head on his shoulders. Yep. And Stan Edgar is moving the 7 into the Department of the Defense. Now, the Deep gets approached by Eagle the Archer to join the Scientology-esque Church of the Collective. A lot of good points they made. I'm thinking about signing up. That or Nexium. Homelander laps up Stillwell's breast milk in a very disturbing scene and pops the eardrums of Daredevil parody Blind Spot. Stormfront surprises them as a new member of the 7. She starts off as an influencer feminist, but turns out is a secret, very racist person. Yep. A lot like people you follow on Twitter that start out very cool, and then you say one thing about equality, and they're like, actually.
Yeah.
So.
Relevant.
Yes. Super topical. They meet with Raynor, but her head explodes after she mentions a coup. Edgar tells Homelander about Vought's Nazi roots and its true priority as a pharmaceutical company. And that's episode 1, which had us off and running, I felt. We'll discuss it further. Yeah. Yes, indeed. All right, episode 2. Billy returns to the group, and he says a lot of words that I can't say, but he's from another country, so he can get away with it with a charming accent. But boy, if I could, I still wouldn't say them because I am not that kind of person. He's trying to remember details about Becca's location. He's writing it down on a cute little Tony Cicero's playmat. Becca is keeping Homelander's son Ryan in a gated Vought compound and freaking out that Homelander is trying to insert himself in as a father figure. Tough to come back in a child's life after being absent for 8 or 9 years. I would know. My kids don't talk to me, and I don't even have superpowers. So
we'll talk to you, Daddy Tom.
Yeah.
Thank you. So the boys track down a telekinetic super terrorist who ends up being Kimiko's brother, Kenji. A-Train finally comes out of his coma and threatens to tell on Starlight. And also, no one ever wears anything other than their soup outfits.
I know, right?
The costumers were like, hey guys, we spent a lot of money on these costumes. Can we just assume that Starlight in her apartment is still wearing her She-Ra costume? Zuckerberg has sworn by that. Steve Jobs swore by that. It's called the uniform. You wear the same thing every day, and that's less time spent on image.
That's right.
And also simultaneously cultivating an image, like me.
Yeah.
I always wear clothes like I'm about to work out, and I never work out. But the image I'm putting out is I'm ready for getting a sweat on at any point. On to episode 3. All right, Homelander gives Ryan the worst flying lesson. This is like when my dad put me on a bike with no training wheels and just fired me down Hightower Way.
Off a roof?
Yeah.
And I went off a roof, and then he refused to let my mom resuscitate me. An angry Ryan then throws Homelander off Becca, so Homelander wasn't wrong. Ryan is a chip off the old horrible block. Yes. The media learns about Vought using Compound V to create soups. That's a huge scandal. Billy apprehends Kenji on a boat. They're on a boat! And then offers to trade him to the CIA in exchange for Becca. Things go wrong, and they end up plowing a speedboat through Deep's well, which he has named Lucy. Now, it seems like throughout the show, the Deep learns that these animals all have names, which to me implies that all animals around us have names for each other, and they're Christian white names.
Yeah, like wouldn't the whale's name be like, ooh ah?
Yeah, I would think so. It'd be like,
yeah.
What's your whale name? Comment down below using only vowels.
All right, so that's when the Seven catches up with the boys. They follow them into the storm drain. Homelander tries to force Starlight to kill Huey. Really difficult choice for her. Kenji then smashes Homelander in a heroic moment, but Stormfront catches up to him, breaks his hands, snaps his neck, and then, for good measure, puts a really gross cherry on top by uttering a racial slur. The episode ends with Edgar claiming no knowledge of Compound V, and Stormfront stealing the spotlight makes her a target for Homelander's wrath, and also, obviously, the vengeful wrath of Kimiko is on their way. So, what did you guys think overall?
Really cool. Also, can we just very quickly go back to the baby thing? Because that's where we left off, right? Mm-hmm. And so the baby didn't die.
Baby didn't die.
Yes.
The baby didn't die, and the baby was transported, 17 miles away, right, they said?
Yes.
Safely. And so, even though where we left off last time, last episode of our show, The Boys Underground, was I will never forgive Billy Butcher. And he didn't kill the kid, but here's why I'm still never going to forgive him, is because he's not the one who saved the kid!
No.
Or is he?
Right.
We don't know what exactly happened. But Marina, you are right. You are right in that he was willing to kill that kid, which is
Absolutely. He pressed the button. Yeah.
Yep. He hit the button.
So that's
and who did we learn in these episodes is moderately explosion proof? That would be Black Noir.
That's right.
So,
apparently.
A character that we have seen very small doses of empathetic sadness and grief from, despite being completely nonverbal. I mean, you get he's kind or he or they, whoever, we don't know, I guess it could be a she, has these like small moments of emotion that lead you to believe that there's a lot more going on under the
They were very sad to find out they were not a natural superhero.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very sad.
True.
And I'll say that like the first episode I thought was great. Episode 2 did feel a bit like filler, just kind of just my feelings on it. But like the new characters as they're coming in, super interesting. I love this Church of the Collective subplot. I'm fascinated to see where that goes. And man, Stormfront. At the beginning, I'm like, okay, I can get on board with you. But boy, oh boy, now do I hate her and want her to die as soon as possible.
Wait, really?
She is so, the fact that she in private had to drop in that racist line, like.
Oh, obviously we hate her. I think it's so interesting. Yeah, I mean,
interesting,
of course.
Yes.
Like,
interesting, like, it's kind of like you love to hate, right?
Yeah, and I think it. Tell me what you guys think. This first 3 episodes, I'm wondering this whole time, why did Gus Fring bring Stormfront in, right? Like, he chose her. Why her? Why her? Because she's talking shit on Vought. Like, she's not following, PR orders. Like, and this whole time I'm going like, why? And at the end, when she turns out to be basically the only thing that can keep Homelander in check, I was like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Because she apparently has super strength, right? Just like crushes bones. And has electricity, which might be the only thing to combat laser eyes.
I think there's something even deeper to her though. Like when we go through the Easter eggs, I think there's something more there that's even creepier.
Yeah, I thought overall her character is a really fascinating kind of like enhanced powered version of like the influencer on especially like the free thinking influencer on social media that will say a lot of stuff that's like, wow, what an outsider perspective. What a cool skew this person has on life. And then you peel one onion layer back and you're like, oh, a foundation and racist. And obviously the name Stormfront carries all sorts of racial connotations. I'm sure we'll go into. Oh, I almost knocked my computer off because the Stormfront people got to me. All right. So, this would not be a new Rockstars video without our man, Pretty Ricky, Erik Voss, pointing out some Easter eggs, things you might have missed, and moments when flies work their way into the shot.
Yes.
Erik, what do you got for us?
Yes. I'm going to break down some of the bigger Easter eggs. Obviously, every frame of this show has like references to other things, and they do a really good job with the world building, the production design. I'm just going to break down the really, really important ones across these 3 episodes. I'm going to skip over like the obvious stuff like Seth Rogen and Chris Hansen cameoed in there. All right, first thing, at Translucent's funeral in episode 1, yeah, it was obviously faked, his cause of death, you know, the corpse in the casket. Did you see how it was, like, rigged to look like something was weighing down those cushions?
Yeah.
Like, his body is in smithereens. Like, they did
there's
something.
Nothing in there.
Either they just ironed it down in some way, or they had cushions that looked like they were weighted. I just thought there was some nice attention to detail. But second detail that I thought was really interesting, when Homelander and Starlight are talking to reporters outside the funeral, they have these kind of scripted responses where he's like, oh, it comes in waves, and then she goes, we're a family. And they show up, those phrases show up on the TV chyron immediately as they say those lines. Just a little attention to detail showing that they're just reading the script that the Vought TV news crew has the same exact script. But there's another moment that's happened in these 3 episodes. Late in the episode when Stormfront is meeting with Homelander and Maeve on the set of that propaganda taping, her Instagram live comments have like a super fast reaction time when Maeve says, oh, are you from Seattle? And then immediately a comment says she's from Portland. There's no way an Instagram live would be able to read it that fast. It could just be an editing thing because, you know, are the editors of the show really paying attention that much? Well, there's another detail. So there's a few subtle moments. This is our third detail where Stormfront appears to be reading someone's mind. It's not certain, but we think she might also be a mind reader. There's that moment right in that scene where she's looking at Homelander and her eyes narrow. The actress does such a great job of this. And there's also a moment when she and Starlight are on the press junket, and she gives Starlight a similar kind of look. And then at the end of episode 3, she and Homelander are staring each other down, and it seems like the edge that she might have of her Homelander is that she can be a minder. She can, she's telepathic. So maybe in that moment, she was reading Maeve's mind, but then you're saying, well, then why are the Instagram live commenters saying it? I think those commenters might be fake people. They might be fake accounts that she, like the Nazis, say, oh, we have this silent majority of people who agree with us, but she has all these fake accounts that she's like conducting all these supportive things.
Oh, yeah.
She's just Russia.
She really is. Fourth detail, episode 1 opens with Billy Joel's Pressure, and then Billy Joel's You're Only Human is a big part of episode 2 and 3, obviously calling back Huey's debate with Robin about Billy Joel. That was their final conversation they had. So I'll be interested to see if Billy Joel is in every single episode this season. Also, I might be reading into this, as I often do here at New Rockstars, but there definitely seemed to be a parallel, at least in episodes 2 and 3, with Billy Butcher and Captain Jack Sparrow. Now go with me on this. They call him the captain of the team. He has a similar Cockney accent. He's self-serving. He steals a boat. And at the bottom line of all this, Captain Jack, another Billy Joel song. So it'll be very
Captain Jack will get you high tonight.
Captain Jack will get you high tonight.
Yes.
If he ever puts a hat on, I'm sold.
We'll see.
If he turns into a skeleton when the moon shines on him.
Really. Oh, then we're there.
You're in one.
Do you believe in ghost stories, Miss Turner? Yes.
All right, next detail. During Huey and Starlight's opening meetup, when they're walking through the town, they're meeting in the subway, there are posters all over the place, and all these are very important. So first you see a poster for Terminal Beauty 3. That was Pop Claw's movie. That's just kind of a little throwaway one. But there's also a poster for Autumn Breeze by Liberty. It's like a pharmaceutical or it's like a perfume or cosmetic thing. Liberty is that old school soup that they talk about. More on her in a bit.
Yeah.
Keep her in
Yes.
mind. And then there was a newspaper that a guy was reading. There was a headline about Shockwave setting a speed record, and he was in talks to join the Seven, maybe as a backup to A-Train. He was at Speedster Rival in season 1 when they had the race.
Yeah.
So, and they had mentioned in marketing for this season that there's going to be 2 possible speed characters, so he's probably going to play a bigger role. And then in that subway car, there's also a poster for the Church of the Collective. That's the Scientology group that the Deep ends up with this season.
Yes.
So what we talked about in our last episode of The Boys Underground was the Fly, right? The mysterious Fly from season 1. And a lot of fans of the show are like, this isn't going to be anything. It was just an accident. But they keep doubling down on it. So there's a few references in these episodes. There's another Fly that shows up buzzing around a light that they amp up the audio so you hear it's buzzing, and then minutes later in episode 1 you see a TV, and on the sidebar there's a shout out for Swatto. That is the comic's life-size soup who just speaks in buzzing noises, but I really do think they could be adapting Swatto to be a fly-sized Ant-Man style soup that has been spying on them throughout the whole time.
Cool.
You can also see a fly buzzing around the carcass of Lucy the whale in episode 3. That would make sense. It is a giant mammal carcass, but it's a fly. And anytime there's a fly sighting in the show, we're going to add it to the list.
Swatto!
Swatto! We also talked about the Breaking Bad parallels, obviously Giancarlo Esposito, but the Church of the Collective woman, Carol, that's played by Jessica Hecht, who played Gretchen Schwartz on Breaking Bad.
Oh, yes.
The reason Waltz eventually broke bad on that series.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the names, we talked about Stormfront's Instagram live feed. All the names are interesting nods to other things. So there's one that's based on Big Game. That's a suit from season 1. He also gets a shout out from Starlight and Gecko. They used to work together.
And Big Game was Pontius Pilate.
And then Popclaw, there's a reference to Jack from Jupiter. That's the previous member of the Seven from the series premiere. There's some references to Lamplighter and Ezekiel. Now, there's one comment, though, that says, hello from Argentina, which I think has got to be a clue to Stormfront's Nazi, maybe, background, because, in history, a lot of the members of the SS relocated to Argentina.
Totally.
And then on this subject, Stan Edgar lectures Homelander about Frederick Vought's Nazi experiments with Compound V before he relocated to the U.S., and I'm thinking Stormfront, maybe, could be an ageless Nazi experiment.
Ooh.
And maybe she even, kind of like in Get Out, she could have Frederick Vought's mind inside her body, and that's why she has these old school Nazi. Because she also, the type of racial slur she uses is kind of like an old school one. You know?
Yeah.
It's not one that a modern day influencer would use if they wanted to be anti-Asian.
Yeah.
But coming back to Liberty, it looks like a World War II era soup, and Grace Mallory is asking about her, and she's like, I don't know if she's connected to this. But she's looking at Liberty in a Budweiser magazine ad, which I found to be very weird. You may have some history buffs who, check me on this, but, during the mid-'40s, you would not see ads for a German-named beer company. There weren't many beer advertisements at all because Prohibition had only ended a decade earlier, and the advertising industry didn't really exist to this level of sophistication. It's very, very weird to see Liberty selling, like a patriotic American selling a Budweiser ad during World War II. There's a lot of anti-German sentiment in the country at that time. But also, Kimiko's brother, Kenji, wears a specific shirt that is Spuds McKenzie. That is the old Bud Light campaign. And he has a star on his hat.
Oh, yeah.
Similar iconography and associations as Liberty. So it's very interesting that Mallory wanted Kenji. That was part of the deal, but was also curious in that same conversation about Liberty. And it's also interesting that Stormfront swooped in to kill this character, despite Homelander calling dibs.
Oh, right.
So connecting all the dots on this, my theory is that the Compound V formula, the one that has created all these soups in the modern era, was derived from a specific version of it that they got to from those World War II Nazi experiments. And Liberty was Frederick Vought's first successful soup. His mind carried on in her body, carrying on that Nazi ideology, and then later, never aging, becoming the woman we now know as Stormfront.
Oh, snap.
The actress who plays her is Jewish. So I think Kenji was going to be evidence of a more direct link from the Compound V derivation to that dark Nazi history.
Interesting. Yes. Aya Cash, great actress. You're the worst.
Yep.
She was awesome in You're the Worst. Yep.
Okay, moving right along. When Billy wakes up in Fort Wayne in episode 2, this is a small one, but he's at a Tony Cicero's Italian restaurant. That was the same chain that he and Frenchie and Huey killed Translucent in season 1. That was also at a Tony Cicero's. And then Homelander superheats, of course, some of Stillwell's breast milk, and then laps it up like a dog, and then just chugs it. But every time we see him drinking thereafter, it is milk. And during breakfast in episode 3, Anthony Starr, he does that great, like, swishing
he enjoys
around,
it too much.
savoring. He loves milk way too much. And then he kind of calls that back later when he taunts Billy about getting breakfast with his family, and he says it was delicious. It wasn't just to piss him off. It was, like, to remind himself how much he loves the taste of milk. And it was just like a really gross, unsettling thing. Okay, and we also learn in these 3 episodes that Becca and Ryan are on this gated compound, right? It was it's kind of like a Truman Show setup. And I think this was to raise Ryan with a normal home life after Vought had screwed up Homelander so bad by not giving him a family that he can learn human emotions from. And then episode 1 kind of tips its hand a little bit that they're doing that. When Homelander knocks on the door, there is just this weird security camera that's just out of focus right in frame, kind of like all the cameras that are hidden in the background of Truman Show. And then a little one when the marketing guy's pitching Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice type movie with the 7, Dawn of the 7, he describes the handheld style he wants to use as very green grass, which is an interesting description because Paul Greengrass directed real-life hijacking crisis movies like United 93, Captain Phillips, 2 movies that ended super dark, just like Homelander's flight crash incident. Or any of the times he has horrifically slaughtered armed militants the way Captain Phillips ended, with Tom Hanks screaming and says, "That blood isn't mine!" And then we all cried a little bit, and we're like, give him another Oscar. And then it has been very interesting to watch Blackmore this season. I think we got to keep our eye on him. When he watched the reports of Compound V's manufacture and he learned that he was made, he cried. And some people thought he was laughing, but if you look at closed captioning, it said sobbing. And then when the Deep was crying about Lucy the Whale, notice how, Blackmore pats his chest in respect. And then as they head into the tunnels, he and Homelander exchange this very interesting look. And I won't go further. I don't want to say more about this, but just keep your eye on Blackmore. There's something very weird. He's getting humanized a lot, and he has some weird connection here. And the last detail I just have to point out, I'm sorry, this is self-indulgent, but shout out to off-screen producer Zach. He actually spotted this when Stormfront and Kenji are smashing through the apartment building. On the TV is a basketball game. Where is it set? At the O-Dome, home of me and Zach's alma mater, the Florida Gators.
Hey!
Billy Donovan. Go, Gators. Get up and go. Yep, had to shout it out.
Yes. 3 episodes worth of questions in this episode. And so let's take a look at some questions and mysteries that we'll be keeping our eyes on as the season unfolds. So, who do you guys think blew up Raynor's head, and why was she killed?
Just a quick thought on this. I think she was killed right after she mentioned that she believes there's a coup. And I think the coup she's talking about is a U.S. government coup. I think that's what she wants she wants the 7 to be in the Department of Defense. And I think if you can have martial law declared and maybe one of them rises up to be Secretary of Defense and enough of the other line of succession is killed off, one of them becomes president. So either one of them or someone. There's also this congresswoman that they keep showing. She could be like a sympathetic figure to the 7 who who runs for president. I think that's the coup that's going on.
Yes, a soup in the White House.
So that's why I still don't know who, though. It must have been some telepathic person who blew her head up. I don't think it was a neck bomb or a skull bomb. Or
I was wondering because her nose bled.
Yeah.
If that was if she had an implant or something. I
don't know.
But, I don't know. That was interesting.
Eric, since you were talking about how Stormfront could possibly have mind-reading abilities, it's theoretically possible that if she has that, she could have the ability of, telekinesis to just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it could, she could only have the ability to read minds and blow up minds. She can't blow up anything else.
I can read, I can pop.
She can only blow. She can either,
Well,
what is specific ability?
And I'll say, for me, the nose started bleeding. That's a dead giveaway that a fly flew into her nostril and planted an explosive device. It all comes back to Swatto, baby.
Very possible.
I just realized I have a cabinet open in the background. Good Lord. Things are falling apart.
Ghost in the kitchen.
Oh my God, Swatto?
Yeah.
Next question. How did Homelander transport Butcher to Fort Wayne? And how did Stillwell's baby survive?
Okay, so having not read the comics, right, like as just a pure viewer, right, coming in fresh, to me, Homelander is a parallel to just a bad Superman. Like, he's Superman, but he's bad, right? We haven't really explored that Homelander is super fast. We know he's a super fast flyer. We see him break sound barriers and have sonic booms. So what if we just haven't discovered that he's also super fast running, or he could have just scooped the baby up with his arms and then flew away, right? So he could have saved the kid, and he could have done it because he also secretly knows that that's his kid again.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, because, like, he's drinking her titty milk anyway. So, like, there's no way they haven't.
Yeah, I think that there's very likely that those two had intercourse before, Yeah.
Which is the real mystery that we're here to solve, right?
And let me show you the drawings. That
No, Tommy, no! There's a character that we have hinted at that might be involved in that. Like, someone we know might have also been in that house. That's all I'll say right now.
The other half of my theory is that Stillwell obviously, like, has this baby, and 99.999 is that it's a V baby, like it's a super baby. So if Homelander knows that he fries her brains, he scrambled eggs her head, right? And then he would have saved that baby anyway, just to have a control of another suit, potentially to raise as his own, to sell, to whatever. But every suit baby is valuable. So it totally makes sense to me that he would say that anybody around would have saved that baby, except for Billy Butcher.
Yeah. Next question. What's with the fresca? And what's its connection to the Church of the Collective? Don't get me wrong, I love a good fresca, but why do they love it so
I have
much?
two thoughts on this. One is that, like, fresca is something that a creepy, weird, brainwashed cult would drink. Fresca's disgusting. It's like a weird
Somewhere
cult
someone
version.
working for Fresca right now is like...
We paid
Not
for
for
this
me.
product placement.
By the way, I love Fresca, and send it by the gallon.
No,
Eric doesn't
it's
need
weird.
it.
It's
Send
a
it
weird,
north.
like, instead of a White Claw or LaCroix or something like that, someone's like, how about a Fresca? And it's like, get away from me, you psychopath. Well, my thinking is that, like, there might be something in that. There might be something in the way that a lot of cults, whether it's Heaven's Gate, Jonestown, something in the water at the Church of Scientology, for sure.
Yeah.
I think they may have something that's in there that's gradually, what's the Rajneeshis in Oregon did this as well. They tried to, like, poison the town water supply.
Right.
That was part of the
Right.
attempt. So it's kind of a recurring
right.
thing with cults. So I'm thinking there might be something there.
Last question. Why is Homelander letting both Edgar and Stormfront alpha him?
We've come up with a couple theories. Maybe there's, like, a telepathy going on there. I think right now, Homelander's realizing that, like, he didn't really put together that Compound V was creating superheroes still.
Yeah.
Like, he was behind the curve on that. I'm thinking he's realizing, oh, my powers came from a history that I do not fully understand. So Edgar and Stormfront might have some checks on my power that I don't fully appreciate yet. So I'm gonna bide my time.
Yeah, it does. It stands to reason that Edgar knows Homelander's weaknesses that we have not learned yet. Like, there's because otherwise, I feel like Homelander's been lost his cool enough times around him. He would have killed him by now. So, like,
I was waiting for him to do it in that scene. I was like, is Giancarlo done? Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Just reasoning, like, if he's developed Compound V to be the thing that creates superheroes, he could easily just reason, like, he also is probably someone who's created a kryptonite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would think he would, just as a security insurance
Yeah.
policy.
All right. Well, certainly we'll have more questions than answers next week. But before we get out of here, it's time for a very important segment because, as we know, living is easy. It's the dying part that's hard. So, I think it's the other way around. In Hamilton, dying is easy. Living is hard. That's what I meant. Anyway, Marina, you're going to break down all the kill counts, ranking from least kills to most kills. What's the kill count on these 3 episodes?
I gotcha. All right, so I counted up the carnage for all 3 of these episodes and tallied up who is killing who. So I'm going to count them down for you. So number 7, With one kill is Billy Butcher, which is the funniest one of all. And also, I loved it, but it's also the least realistic, is Lucy the Whale. Because if you drove a boat into a whale, that whale would bounce you off.
Yeah, it'd be like a trampoline.
Yeah, every single person on that boat would have just been flown into the air and just super dead. Like, they'd all be absolutely dead. But it's a fun way to, it's fun, and they got to sit inside the whale for a while, so I let it go.
For sure.
Number 6, Homelander. Maybe one kill of Blind Spot, because he popped his ears like a naughty child.
Yes.
But I'm with you, Tommy, because that was a lot of blood.
That was a lot of blood, and if he didn't die in that scene, he would have made sure. Like, Homelander has a reputation to worry about.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
He would have followed up,
Oh, what a horrible thing to do to someone who has learned to use their eardrums. It honestly reminded me of that moment in Kill Bill where she plucks out the eye, and now she's like blind in both eyes. It's just like rolling around screaming.
Yeah.
You just feel kind of bad for them.
Not me, though. Number 5, Mystery Killer. The Mystery Killer, right? So one kill is the CIA deputy director, Raynor. So we don't know for sure, but they're on the murder map.
That's right.
Murder map.
On the murder map. Good. Let's put them on the board.
Yep. So number 4 is Kimiko with one kill, and it's the old guy in the party store who is, of course, part of the terrorist group or whatever you want to call them that killed her parents. So she, of course, very satisfying snaps this guy's neck. Vengeance. It tastes so good. And number 3 is Kenji, who has 3 kills, or 3 plus actually. So he dropped the boat on the Haitian gang member whose arm was all. Ugh.
Yeah.
That really they did a good job with that. I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
That guy, we can safely assume that he died because they were pretty unwilling to take him to the hospital. And if I were him, I'd be like, take me to the hospital. But they're like, nah, bro. And then he also, we can assume, killed everybody in the NYPD helicopter crew. Although I think that that we're keeping this kill count for now, but it remains to be seen because Huey throws a life preserver overboard, and I think that is a metaphor for not only his humanity that is staying intact, but also could be a foreshadowing of like maybe one of those people does survive and is able to tell what happened.
I read it as like a useless thing. Like he's just like they're already dead and drowning, but Huey still just from his good nature is like, oh, this helps me sleep at night.
Sure.
That's a good interpretation. Different. I like it when we have like different interpretations.
Yeah.
But now shut the up because I'm gonna keep going. Number 2, Black Noir. 5 kills. Black Noir has 5 kills this episode. So we start off with Nakeeb and all his bodyguards, and one of the women, but the best, and this is gonna be my pick for like grossest, most satisfying, the thing that made me go like, ugh, the most was like the reverse curb stomp, which was like grabbing someone's teeth and like ripping up their
Yikes. Yes.
It's not funny, but I am laughing because that's why I have this job, is because these things are hilarious to me. Great. And so number 1 for this, guys, is Stormfront. So she has 13 plus kills. She kills that family in the apartment. She kills that girl just for screaming. And the guy who's in the hallway, and we see a bunch of explosions, and we hear screams in that building, which I'm gonna like guesstimate is about 8 more. And then she kills Kenji in front of Kimiko. And it was she's up there. It took us a while for Homelander to rack up the kills, but she's just like starting off with 13. Yes. So I see them as like this kind of a thing.
Absolutely. And you know what? Like Homelander, they're both different kinds of evil. Homelander seems to only kill people when he has something to lose or something to gain from it. Yep. She's just killing like recklessly and wantonly. Like she doesn't need to. None of those people are going to be that mad if like they just crash through her home, but she just does it anyway.
Yeah, she's like, you're screaming too loud. Boing.
Right. Yeah, it's very messed up.
Super effed up ending. Speaking of effed up endings, that's it. That's our show. So great to chat with you guys. Erik and Marina, always a delight. Always a delight. Tune in every week to hear our reactions for the latest The Boys episode on The Boys Underground.
Yes.
Please subscribe to The Boys Underground on iTunes or wherever you get your
Yeah.
podcasts. You'll get the show earlier than the video version, and it's a huge help to us at New Rockstars. So honestly, please, if you're a podcast person, hit us up. And remember to join our official Discord by becoming a patron at patreon.com/newrockstars. On Discord, we'll be fielding the questions that we answer on this show, so it's a great way to get involved if you want to be part of the conversation. Or if you just like to watch, throw a question out anonymously and then see if we answer it, and then cackle to yourself, like Swatto cackling as he exploded Rainer's head. You can follow me at Tommy Bechtold. You can follow Erik at Erik Voss. Follow Marina at Marina Mastros. Follow New Rockstars on all the socials. Subscribe here on YouTube to get too much information on all the stuff that you care about. Go Bills, and God bless America.
And go Gators.
And go Gators.
Go murder.
Homelander. Go America!